Welcome to Hidden Coin Digest, where ordinary pocket change can reveal extraordinary treasures hiding in plain sight. Before you spend another quarter today, I want you to do something that could completely change the way you look at your spare change forever. Reach into your pocket, your wallet, or that old jar filled with loose coins sitting somewhere in your house. Pick up the first quarter you see and look carefully at the date. If that date says 1988, don't put it away just yet. To most people, it's simply another 25-cent coin. They'll spend it on coffee. They'll use it at a vending machine. They'll drop it into a parking meter without giving it a second thought. But experienced coin collectors know something that millions of people don't. Sometimes, the most ordinary looking coins hide the most interesting stories. Every single day across America, thousands of Washington quarters pass from one hand to another. Cashiers hand them out as change. Banks wrap them into fresh rolls. Families throw them into piggy banks, jars, and drawers where they sit forgotten for years. Among those millions of ordinary quarters are coins that continue to attract the attention of collectors because of their condition, unusual characteristics, and fascinating minting history. The exciting part is that many people never even look at the date before spending them. That means remarkable discoveries are still possible today. The 1988 Washington quarter was produced during a time when the United States Mint was striking hundreds of millions of coins every year. Modern technology allowed coins to be manufactured quickly and efficiently, but no production process is ever completely perfect. Every machine experiences where every die slowly ages. Every production line faces tiny mechanical challenges. Most of these changes are too small for the average person to notice. Collectors, however, notice everything. They study the date. They examine the mint mark. They inspect every letter of liberty. They look closely at "In God We Trust." They carefully observe Washington's portrait, searching for tiny details that most people overlook completely. Why? Because history has shown that even small differences can make one coin far more interesting than another. Imagine opening a forgotten coin jar that hasn't been touched for 20 or 30 years. Hundreds of coins spill across the table. Pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. At first, everything looks completely ordinary. Then one bright 1988 Washington quarter catches the light differently from the others. Its surfaces still shine. Its details remain sharp. The lettering appears crisp immediately. Curiosity takes over. Could this simply be a well-preserved coin? Or could it be something much more interesting? That single question has started countless collecting journeys across America. The truth is that most 1988 quarters are worth only their face value in everyday circulation. But collectors don't search only for value. They search for rarity. They search for unusual mint errors. They search for exceptional preservation. They search for the excitement of discovering something that millions of people missed. That excitement is what has kept coin collecting alive for generations. Every quarter tells a story. Some traveled thousands of miles across the country. Some remained hidden inside old collections. Others passed through countless hands before finally reaching someone who decided to stop and take a closer look. Could your 1988 quarter be one of those coins? Let's find out. Could your 1988 quarter be one of those coins? Let's find out. The first thing every experienced collector understands is that a coin doesn't have to be ancient to become collectible. Many people assume only coins from the early 1900s or the 1800s deserve attention. While those coins certainly have their place in history, modern coins can also become highly desirable when the right combination of condition, rarity, and minting characteristics comes together. The 1988 Washington quarter is a perfect example. When these quarters first entered circulation, nobody imagined that decades later collectors would be examining them under magnifying glasses, comparing tiny details, and searching for unusual varieties hidden among millions of ordinary examples. Back in 1988, these quarters were everywhere. Children carried them to school cafeterias, families used them at laundromats, drivers dropped them into toll booths, and parking meters. Arcade machines accepted them one after another. Everyday life moved with the sound of quarters changing hands. Very few people thought about saving them. That decision changed everything because while millions of coins were produced, very few remained in the same beautiful condition they had when they left the mint. Think about what happens to a quarter during 30 or 40 years of circulation. It falls onto sidewalks, slides across store counters, spends years rubbing against keys, nickels, dimes, and other quarters inside pockets. Tiny scratches slowly begin covering the surface. The brilliant mint luster fades. The sharp details soften. Eventually, the coin no longer resembles the fresh example that first left the mint. That is why collectors become excited whenever they discover a 1988 quarter with outstanding preservation. Original mint luster still shines across the surface. Washington's portrait remains sharp. Every letter appears bold. The rim is complete. The reverse design still displays impressive detail. Coins like these become harder to find every passing year. Professional grading companies carefully examine every surface before assigning a grade. They inspect the fields for contact marks. They study Washington's hair. They examine the eagle on the reverse. They check the strike quality and overall eye appeal. Sometimes two coins appear almost identical to the average person. Yet, professional graders immediately notice differences that separate an ordinary coin from an exceptional one. That is why collectors pay so much attention to quality. But condition tells only part of the story. The real excitement begins when collectors start searching for mint errors. Although the United States Mint follows strict quality control procedures, no manufacturing system is completely perfect. During production, thousands of quarters are struck every hour. The machinery operates with incredible speed and precision. Even so, small mistakes occasionally happen. A die begins wearing out. A tiny crack develops. Grease fills part of the design. A blank blanket shifts slightly before the strike. Those brief moments create coins that are completely different from the millions surrounding them. Most people never notice those differences. Collectors do. One of the first places they examine is the lettering. They carefully inspect Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1988. Any unusual doubling, weakness, or distortion deserves closer inspection. Next, they study the mint mark. Then they examine the edge. Finally, they compare the coin with another ordinary 1988 quarter. Side dash by dash side comparisons often reveal differences that would otherwise remain completely invisible. This simple habit has helped collectors identify countless interesting varieties over the years. The longer someone studies coins, the more these small details begin standing out naturally. That's why experience is one of the greatest tools any collector can have. And sometimes, one careful comparison leads to a discovery that changes everything. One careful comparison leads to a discovery that changes everything. Imagine searching through an old coffee can filled with loose change that has been sitting on a shelf for years. Dust covers the lid, and no one remembers the last time it was opened. You pour hundreds of coins onto the table and begin separating them by denomination. Pennies form one pile. nickels, and dimes form another. Finally, a stack of Washington quarters begins to grow. Most of them are heavily worn. Some are scratched. Others have dark toning from decades of storage. Then one coin immediately stands out. A bright 1988 Washington quarter reflects the light differently than all the others. The surfaces still sparkle. The lettering appears unusually sharp. Washington's portrait looks crisp and well-defined. At first, you think it's simply cleaner than the others. But after comparing it with several more 1988 quarters, you begin noticing something unusual. The strike appears much stronger. The details are clearer. The overall eye appeal is far better than the rest. That single observation is exactly how many collecting journeys begin. Not with luck, but with curiosity. Experienced collectors understand that every coin deserves a careful examination. They never rush. Instead, they slowly rotate the coin beneath a bright light. They watch how the original mint luster moves across the surface. If the light creates a smooth cartwheel effect, it often indicates that much of the original finish remains intact. Once that original surface disappears through years of circulation or improper cleaning, it can never truly be restored. That is why originality is so important. Many beginners believe cleaning a coin will increase its value. Unfortunately, the opposite is usually true. Polishing, scrubbing, or using chemical cleaners permanently changes the surface. Professional collectors recognize cleaned coins almost immediately. Instead of making the coin more desirable, cleaning often reduces its collector appeal. The safest decision is always to leave the coin exactly as it was found. Hold it carefully by the edges. Store it in a protective holder. Allow experts to evaluate it before attempting any restoration. Another fascinating area collectors inspect is the reverse of the coin. The eagle should display strong feather detail. The arrows should appear sharp. The olive branches should remain clearly defined. A weak reverse strike may simply result from normal production variation, but occasionally it encourages collectors to investigate further. Sometimes a worn die produces softer details. Sometimes other production characteristics become visible. Every clue helps tell the story of how that particular coin was made. Collectors also pay close attention to die chips and die cracks. These small imperfections develop as minting dies continue striking hundreds of thousands of coins. Tiny pieces of steel may break away. Fine cracks slowly spread across the die. Every coin struck afterward carries those same raised features. To someone unfamiliar with coin collecting, they may look insignificant. To experienced collectors, they are fascinating fingerprints left behind by the minting process itself. Another habit shared by serious collectors is searching bankrolls. Instead of buying expensive coins immediately, many purchase rolls of quarters directly from local banks. One roll becomes two become 10. Eventually, hundreds of coins pass beneath the magnifying glass. Most searches reveal nothing unusual, but every experienced collector understands that remarkable discoveries rarely happen on the first attempt. Patience is part of the hobby. Every roll offers another opportunity. Every handful of change could contain the next exciting discovery. That possibility keeps collectors searching year after year. Some discoveries happen in the most unexpected places. A child finds an unusual quarter inside a piggy bank. A cashier notices a bright coin while counting change. A family sorting through inherited belongings uncovers an old coin album that hasn't been opened in decades. Moments like these continue reminding collectors that valuable discoveries aren't limited to museums or major auctions. Sometimes they begin in the most ordinary places imaginable. And sometimes the next remarkable coin is already sitting quietly inside your own pocket, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for. The next remarkable coin is already sitting quietly inside your own pocket, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for. That is the beauty of coin collecting. You don't need expensive equipment to get started. You don't need a rare collection passed down through generations, and you certainly don't need to be an expert on your first day. All you need is curiosity. The willingness to slow down, look a little closer, and ask one simple question: could this coin be different? Every experienced collector started exactly the same way, with a single coin, a single discovery, a single moment of curiosity. Over time, those small moments become knowledge. Knowledge becomes experience. And experience leads to discoveries that most people walk past every single day. The 1988 Washington quarter reminds us that extraordinary stories can hide inside the most ordinary objects. Millions of these quarters were produced. Millions circulated across America. Millions were spent without anyone ever looking twice. Yet some examples survived in remarkable condition, preserving the same brilliant appearance they had the day they left the United States Mint. Others developed unusual characteristics during the minting process that continue fascinating collectors decades later. Those are the coins that keep the search alive. Imagine opening a roll of quarters and finding one that looks noticeably different. You compare it with another. Then another. The differences become more obvious. You begin researching, reading collector guides, comparing photographs. Learning about mint marks, die varieties, strike quality, and preservation. What started as a simple search through pocket change has suddenly become a fascinating journey into American numismatic history. That's why coin collecting continues growing every year. It's more than a hobby. It's history you can hold in your hand. Every scratch tells part of a story. Every mark reflects a journey through countless pockets, stores, banks, and homes across the country. Every coin has traveled a path no one can fully trace. Some crossed state lines hundreds of times. Some remained hidden inside family collections for decades. Some sat quietly inside forgotten drawers waiting for someone to rediscover them. The next remarkable discovery could happen exactly the same way. Perhaps tomorrow you'll receive a 1988 quarter as change after buying lunch. Maybe one is already sitting inside your car's cup holder. Perhaps there's an old coin jar somewhere in your house that hasn't been opened in years. You never truly know until you look. Before spending any Washington quarter, make it a habit to check for simple things. First, look at the date. Second, to check the mint mark. Third, examine the overall condition. And finally, take a closer look for anything unusual that stands out from the coins around it. Those few extra seconds may not reveal something valuable every time, but one day they just might. That's the excitement collectors chase, not because every coin is rare, but because every coin has the possibility of teaching something new. And every search brings another opportunity to uncover a hidden piece of history. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the fascinating story of the 1988 Washington quarter. If this video encouraged you to take a closer look at your own pocket change, then we've accomplished exactly what we hoped. If you enjoy rare coins, hidden treasures, fascinating mint errors, collector stories, and the history behind America's pocket change, make sure you subscribe to Hidden Coin Digest, turn on notifications, and join thousands of collectors who know that the next great discovery could be hiding in plain sight. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let us know in the comments, have you ever found an unusual quarter in your pocket change? Until our next discovery, keep searching. Keep learning. And remember, the coin everyone else ignores today could become the treasure everyone wishes they had tomorrow.